What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a get to know me, and this one is a little more off the beaten track than all the others have been thus far. This is sort of a shortlist, I guess, of some of the things that inspire me, some of my inspirations in life. Now, whether these be historical figures, works of art, songs, whatever it might be, these are the things that that inspire me. I have got I think it's a blog post on my phone, and it's got a list of 31 things that inspire them. So obviously I'm not going to be reading this point for point, but I am going to try and sort of weave in my own within the general sort of topics that it offers. I think is probably going to be the easiest way for me to actually, because when I decided to do this video, I was like, okay, cool, we'll sit down. I know that there's this thing and that thing and the other thing, and I was like, but is that all? So I had to look for something to help structure it, etc. So yeah, their first one is love, and I would love to say that my partner inspires me to be a better person, as is usually the case when I'm in a relationship, but I am currently single, and so working on myself is sort of a, I mean, the self-love is good, and being able to sort of find happiness within myself is definitely a life skill, but I'm not sure that it's offering me inspiration, you know what I mean? Certainly some of the things that I've got to sort of deal with while pursuing that, I can find maybe a story idea in that to make a film about, or write a short story about. Sure. Particularly because self-love is obviously a theme you could use for a story about, deliberately looking at character growth. Could definitely be a thing there. Actually, now that I mention that, that would actually make a really cool plotline for a romance novel. Have it start out with like that utopian relationship, find where it starts to unravel and delves slightly maybe more towards the toxic relationship trope, and then have the whole thing be about them discovering their own worth and realizing that they love themselves enough to no longer need that relationship. That would actually be a really cool story. Okay, apparently I can find inspiration in just about anything, but there you go. The second one is community. Yes, this is a big one, because I think the thing to realize is each individual person is not part of only one community. For instance, I am part of the sort of witch pagan community. I am part of the LGBT community. I'm part of the nerd, geek, gamer, whatever you want to call this community. I'm on YouTube, so I'm part of the YouTube community. I have friends and a lot of contacts in the film industry, like particularly the local sort of Australian film industry. So I'm part of that community as well. You know, I've got my own sort of social group here, like locally where I live. You could sort of see that as a bit of a community, although one of the points is specifically friends that I can see there. So it's not just one particular thing. You know, I mean, if we go a little bit deeper, I'm part of the feminist community. I did a whole video on that and why people sort of misinterpret feminism as being a bad thing. So I'm part of that community. I'm, you know, part of the ally group for the Black Lives Matter movement, whether that be people of African descent or people of Native Australian descent, because in Australia it can be both groups. I'm part of the ally group for that, so there's sort of that sense of community there, and what I've found comes with that is you get to discover new perspectives, and I think this is the thing specifically from community. Being able to see different perspectives can inspire, you know, change, obviously, within the world, but also understanding those things, because if I'm being completely honest here, my initial thought for my inspirations was what inspires me to make the works of art that I make, which are predominantly films and narratives. So yeah, understanding, like being able to discuss and understand different perspectives from other members of the various communities that I am involved with does inspire me to, you know, create new characters that are a part of the community that has their perspective. And so by trying to write a character that has a different perspective to my personal perspective, can also allow me to sort of A, deepen my understanding for that person, and B, discover if I have any biases when coming across where my interests and their interests sort of diverge on particular issues. So it's very, community is sort of a big one. It is sort of a big one. Then the third one they've got here is their parents. Just trying to think, what have they got here? I don't know if they're inspiring in the same ways as the other things, but yeah, I would probably put them on my list. There are times where I don't feel as supported as I would like to be, and therefore my sort of self-confidence in various areas sort of fails, and then with sort of a lower self-confidence, lower self-esteem, I'm then less likely to actually engage in the activities of producing my art, which, if we're being completely honest, is the biggest inspiration. Creating things and finishing them and being able to, like, this is a thing that I made. It's definitely a big confidence booster, especially when, you know, I get other people to proofread it, or I get to show other people, and I can get positive feedback on it. It's always a good confidence booster. But yeah, I don't know if they're inspiring in the same way as, you know, obviously like the sense of community and stuff, because obviously at the core of it, your parents are more sort of a part of your support network. I don't know, I would necessarily call my support network an inspiration. Necessarily. Not in the same ways as some of the other things. My friends. I have quite a few friends, actually, who are, you know, they've either made films or, you know, written stories themselves and are therefore able to sort of have conversations with them, bounce story ideas off of them, and so they are sort of, as far as friends go, they are like top tier for inspiration, because I can find, you know, it's not so much they are the initial inspiration, they can just sort of fan the flames of that initial spark, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then I've got other ones who, you know, share a particular interest with me. We might have some inside jokes, and when we accidentally put 2 or 3 inside jokes sort of back to back to back, we end up coming up with this whole new idea, and it's like, well, actually, that'd make a really cool premise for a thing, or whatever. And so obviously there are some crazy ideas, and it basically goes nowhere because it's stupid, but it's just sort of funny to, you know, like in the moment. And then other times we just come up with like these like perfectly insane ideas, and they are just beautiful. So yeah, friends are definitely up there. Number 5, they've got their granny. Mine would be my nan. One of the greatest inspirations in my life. She passed away in 2003, 2004, sort of around that area. I can't remember exactly, but it's been, good God, nearly 2 decades. And still to this day, my like sole concern when I'm, you know, taking a huge risk on something, or you know, trying to help a friend out, because we all know that you can go in with the best intentions and come out with the worst results. But usually my sole concern, other than actually trying to help the person, is this particular act. Not the intention, the act. Is that particular act something that would make my nan proud? Because she was a massive influence in my childhood. Obviously, I love her dearly, and I sincerely hope there's an afterlife, because I would love to see her again. Number 6, they've got music. I would say, yeah, music is sort of a good one. Especially when you start looking at like, where did they get their inspiration from, and you can kind of see how they went through the creative process. Because if we're being completely honest, I love music. I play the drums. Very, very rudimentary piano. I wouldn't even say I play basic piano, but very rudimentary piano. I would love to learn the violin. I would love to. It looks like it'd be a bunch of fun when you can actually play it well. And obviously I do my song covers, so I love to sing. So music is, I would love to engage in that more. And like actually record some stuff. I think that'd be really cool. Get into that creative space of doing that. So yeah, seeing about how established musicians have gone about finding their inspirations and stuff. That's definitely a big thing. And then also there are obviously certain artists themselves that I love, and the ideas they come up with are really cool. The stories they tell, whether it's within one song or within a whole album, can in turn inspire me to write a particular story, about a particular thing. So music's definitely up there. There is, in fact, even ages ago, and it's since been cancelled, like the production, ages ago, there was the idea of turning Skater Boy into a film, and I think if they'd gone with sort of a fractured fairy tale Romeo and Juliet style thing, that would have been awesome to see. And so that's sort of something that I'm kind of working on, figuring out how they would have done that, which is really cool. Number 7 they've got is writing. This door here has my bookshelf behind it, and yeah, the right story can just I think for me though, more than anything, I suppose I could still sort of put this into this category. Maybe it goes into the next one, which is storytelling. But either way, mythology and sort of the stories therein. I'm actually at the moment trying to figure out, because I've long had this idea of having a Greek mythology series, and by that I mean TV, where the action is as historically accurate as we can find within the myths themselves, and I've got it down to figuring out that the easiest way to figure out the timeline of things is by going through the genealogy, sort of the major genealogies of it. For instance, Perseus's great-grandson is Hercules, so obviously all of the stuff with Perseus is going to happen before we get to Hercules. And Hercules was part of the Argonauts, and it's sort of hard to figure out because during his 12th labour he goes to the underworld, and while there he frees Theseus and Pirithous, tries to free Pirithous, because they'd gone there to try and kidnap Persephone from Hades. Long story there. But because Hercules was also an Argonaut, it is said that during the Argonauts' run, Theseus was in the underworld. So trying to figure out, was Hercules an Argonaut before or after his 12 labours is also sort of a fun little... but then once you figure out sort of how each character's life story went, you can sort of start to figure out where other characters fit in at that time, which is really fun when I can fit a piece of the puzzle together, and sort of see the image on top. It's really fun to do. I'm gonna sort of start skipping through these because we're getting on in time. But their number 10 is their favourite comic book character. I'm just gonna go with the broader theme of comic books. Stan Lee is one of my personal heroes. And I never got to meet him. I would have loved to have met him. The fact that he is sort of one of the between him, Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby. They essentially created the entire Marvel universe that we know today. Obviously, there are other notable people like Brian Michael Bendis and John Romita. But the fact that Stan Lee came in and he was like, okay, here's Fantastic Four, here's Spider-Man, here's the X-Men, and sort of made the big names as far as Marvel's concerned. And then because of that, we now have a whole multiverse of comic books, and we're starting to come into a whole multiverse of movies as well. I think that's really cool, and it's sort of in that same vein that I would love all of my stories to, even if they don't directly interact with one another, to have this general understanding that all of my stories exist within the same world. So I might write something that seems completely standalone, and then in a future one, I'll write something referencing something that happened in that story, so you can understand that, oh, okay, these guys exist together. I think that'd be really cool. What have they got here? A whole bunch of people of different ilks. Art. Every time I see someone really good at drawing, I get extremely jealous. I am by no means a visual artist. I can't draw, I can't sculpt, I can't. I don't have, even though I love to do it, get a scribble pad and just draw a thing, even though I love to do it, I just don't have the talent. Like, I just don't have like a natural talent for it. Because obviously you can see that there are people that have natural talent and have honed that particular skill to be incredibly good at it. I sort of have the talent and have honed the skills for story writing, and I love looking at the origins behind words, and I like looking at, as I said, mythologies and sort of the stories that have fascinated humans for years. I mean, I can pretty much owe my love of superheroes to the fact that we have the heroes from Greek mythology, and they sort of go up against the villains, which are just these monsters, and in some cases tyrannical kings, and that sort of in turn goes into looking at sort of the fantasy world. If you don't explain the magic, it becomes sci-fi. Like, no one said that you can't have dragons and a laser cannon in the same book. You can do that. It's entirely possible. Just as long as you understand what your science is and what your magic is, you can have both, really. But yeah, art is up there. I think predominantly that's what I've got on, like, kinds of people I follow on Instagram are people that do amazing art, or the people that have really good, strong, solid sort of moral standings. And obviously, yes, they're going to be similar viewpoints to me, because I'm human and we all look for confirmation bias. But those two, I think, in particular. Number 21 is dreams, which I think is a cool one. Now they've got here the kind that people work towards it their whole life. So like having the goals, like, what's your dream house look like? What's your dream car? What's your dream holiday? Those sorts of things. But I'm going to go twofold here, because I think while having those things to like aim towards, so it can sort of point you in the direction you want to go. Actual like dreams that you have when you're asleep can be really cool as well, and that sort of starts to delve into the reasons why I do astrology and tarot and all that sort of stuff. Like I'm learning palmistry. Obviously I do my flowers and my crystal videos on here. All of those crystals are part of like geomancy and like the healing crystals. Flowers can be part of herbology, which is sort of the natural magic equivalent of botany, which is obviously going to be looking at flowers and trees anyway. So yeah, dreams are definitely gonna be up there, because obviously I have a weird dream, I then meditate about it, read the cards, consult the stars, etc. Sort of find, even going online and finding dream dictionaries to help me decipher what the actual meaning of them is. It's all really interesting and can help fund these ideas for and sort of build a knowledge bank to be able to, if I'm going to have a dream sequence in a particular novel or something, be able to have exactly the right things in there to, if you were going to look it up using a dream dictionary, it actually means what I want it to mean, sort of a thing, which I think is really cool. They've got one in here which is entrepreneurship, and I must say that is something I'm trying to work towards with my social media stuff. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I am working on trying to build my platform. So obviously there'll be my YouTube, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna restart in the new year from scratch on a completely separate channel, just delete all my other channels, start again, or whether I'll just rename this one and delete all the videos. I don't know, but I do know that probably next year we're gonna do an overhaul. I've got my TikTok. I want to start a Discord where I think I'm gonna use Discord to record my podcast, I think is what I'm gonna be doing with that. But obviously there'll also be the Discord server so I can actually talk to you guys in sort of a more informal setting. I want to start doing Twitch and do some streaming, see if I can find some friends to stream with. There's a whole heap of things. I want to be able to start producing some original music and put it up on Spotify. I want to do a whole heap. I want to do a whole heap with that, and so sort of building that brand. But at the same time, while doing that, I am also studying to become a personal trainer. And so the idea there is to, for a while, sort of work in a gym. Maybe after I've got a good client base, maybe go sort of off on my own sort of thing. If I'm able to, even have my own space with my own equipment. And then, just sort of be able to be my own boss. Because then that way I know that it's going to be run the way I want it run. Because if we're being a little bit honest, I can sometimes have difficulty with authority. And it's not usually because I don't like other people being in charge. Other people can be in charge. There are probably more people who are more qualified to do that than I am. But when it comes to, sort of recognizing people's contributions and incentivizing them. And I found that I'm really good within leadership roles. When it comes to that, entrepreneurship is one of those dreams that I have. And yeah, they've got a whole bunch of other things here, like having faith, forgiveness, clarity. They've got a whole bunch of things here, but I think, looking at how far along in time we're going, that's gonna be about me for today. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. If you could help that subscriber count go up, that would also be a really cool inspiration. And also ring that notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below, what are your 5 biggest inspirations? And yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And until next time, keep your head screwed on.